Hello and welcome to 20 Minutes. I'm Nadia Naqi with you. The Prime Minister house in Pakistan seems leaking like a sieve. We've been watching all the audio, or rather listening to all the audio leaks that have surfaced. Although in the past, the Supreme Court of Pakistan and the judiciary has said that audio leaks of this sort are not admissible in the court of law as evidence. However, it does speak of volumes of the working of the Prime Minister House, the way the Prime Ministers have been functioning. Is it according to the law and the Constitution? And then, of course, it speaks volumes about the recording, the Prime Minister House being bugged, and the security lapse. Although Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has spoken that it is of worrisome, the President of Pakistan has also spoken about how worried he is about the audio leaks, meaning the breach of the security of this house. We have with us journalist Amir Ghauri and Brigadier retired Farooq Hameed Saab. We're going to be talking about what exactly is the purpose of the audio. And now the investigations should be around either just the purpose or who is actually recording this audio and should it be recorded. Let's start our discussion with Amir Ghauri. Amir, you've been privy to the political working, or you could say the political setups in the country, be it this one or the previous ones. Were you surprised at the audio leaks? Were you surprised at the fact that every conversation is being recorded and the Prime Minister House is bugged?
No, I'm not. Why? Because in the last few years, you have seen that, such leaks, whether they were Panama Leaks, post-Panama Leaks, WikiLeaks, we are now in an age where, because we live a lot of our life on their smartphones, and we now know that they are not, very smart because there are smarter people on the other side. So that means if they can hack our machines, whether they are, phones or our computers, or even, go into our other financial details. So that means if these things are actually happening in Russia or America and Europe, so we are we're not immune to these kind of things. Why it actually happened now? I think we have been taking, running of the state pretty lightly. When you hear comments from important people like Prime Minister, ministers, or other officials that, whatever they have been discussing, it is not important that the nuclear state and the main office of the nuclear state, the chief executive's office, have been bugged, and ministers have been, hurt. And then, on social media, people claiming that, we have another treasure trove and maybe, 100 hours of recordings. So it basically should worry all those people who are in position of power. So far, what we have heard, I'm not worried about that, because those kind of things we have heard accusations about politicians that they have been, unscrupulous in the way they have been conducting the business of the state. But if these things go beyond this, I don't know who is hacking it. That means our systems at the highest level of the statecraft are prone to be hacked. We are a nuclear state. If certain things were discussed between important, institutions, and if they actually have been heard by our enemies, then I am definitely concerned.
Exactly. Very well said, Amir. And I'm just going to take this to Brigadier Saab that yes, the content of the leaks can be debatable. And the breach, of course, is worrisome. But for me, and I would like you to add to this, or probably you could bring another point, it also talks about the security of this office, the Prime Minister House. We don't even know whether the President House is secure or not. It also leaves an impact that are the head of the states or the chief executives of the country, because there is one audio which is of the former Prime Minister, one that has been surfaced for the, the current Prime Minister, as if there is a trust deficit in these offices and they need to be dubbed. Someone needs to watch them. Someone needs to hear them. That how are they working? What are they talking?
Yes, I take it as a very dangerous breach of our national security, a serious breach, obviously, of our cyber security of the chief executive office, and maybe, who knows, there are other offices also which have also been hacked, and we may come to know about that later on. But as I see it, we are already going through very turbulent times. Pakistan is politically unstable, economically unstable. I see this as an attempt to further destabilize Pakistan internally, politically, and of course, as far as our internal security is concerned. And as you can see, that every audio leak which is coming out is causing a lot of ripples and waves in our media and even our political parties. And you can see that it is only adding to the instability that we're watching these days. Now, my point is this: these could be a group of international hackers backed by some rogue elements in the international establishment that want to further destabilize Pakistan.
For hacking, you need to have a data that is recorded. And the question arises, who is recording this data?
There may be rogue elements within our government, within our intelligence agencies, who could be, doing all this.
In a society which is now where, moral standards, official standards, societal standards, religious standards, all of them have been seriously compromised. So I don't know who has been, recording these things. Some people who have recorded these stuff are insiders. Now, I will leave it to the state because there is an important meeting going on when we are speaking. I don't know what they will decide.
What about other institutions? They will have, are they confident that, their important meetings are not being recorded, dubbed this way, will not come out, will not be hacked, if they are being recorded? So, Brigadier Sir, what do you feel? Is it just the Prime Minister house that is the most important office, I'd say?
Yes, the other offices should not feel that they are safe and secure. There will have to be some very extraordinary measures now and maybe they should be discussed in the National Security Committee by the heads of the security agencies also as to what is to be done. There has to be a new plan coming up to safeguard your data, to safeguard, because you see, now people will be very insecure. Whatever they were saying in the cabinet meetings and other meetings in the ministries related to normal government functioning, if they're all being hacked, they're recorded and hacked. So that is a very serious thing. During the Nawaz Sharif era, last 4 years when he was in power, we heard that the elite civilian intelligence agency had been equipped and upgraded. Its security apparatus had been upgraded with the latest technologies involving billions of rupees. And I think that was good. And they're the people basically who are responsible for the security of the civilian officers. The other military agencies, obviously, I think they've been, because of the involvement in the anti-terrorism operation and like that, I think they're already very highly equipped, sophisticated equipment related to anti-hacking, anti-surveillance. I'm talking about the military agencies.
Okay, for anti-surveillance. I thought for recording.
Upgradation, even after so much of upgradation and modernization, if still the hackers or whoever those people are, they've been able to breach our security system is very alarming and of course very dangerous.
I have spoken to a lot of politicians, to former prime ministers, and they are not surprised because they say that yes, we are always recorded, and some of them have been so careful that they usually do not speak what they're supposed to talk about. Rather, they would exchange notes and writings when they're having important meetings, and that is also one-on-one meetings I'm talking about. So this seems to be an accepted fact by the politicians, Amir, that it's all right if we are being spied by our own people. Why is it an accepted fact?
It shows that as a state, as a modern state, our bureaucracy, our bureaucratic offices and our important offices are still behind when it comes to modern technology. And then whatever technologies we are using other people's technologies thinking that they're safe. So whether the ministers are exchanging notes or not, that also shows where we are, in the age of technology. And then secondly, if, for example, tomorrow we actually want to create something, whether all the Pakistanis who are using smartphones will trust, Pakistan's own softwares, and we talk about startup companies here, but because that trust is not there between the state and the citizen, I think we are still on very slippery ground here. And then again, because we are still kind of staying with the politicians, I actually want to go beyond that. At times, when the national security meetings happen in the Prime Minister House, and when our heads of the intelligence agencies and head of the army and head of the Navy and Air Force, they come and discuss things. Again, if those things are also listened to, our plans, our preparation, what kind of safety standards we have as a state.
Okay, so Brigadier sir, one more thing that I'd like to ask you is that how do you think all of this, because we have to stay in the political setup and the politics that goes around this audio leak. You must have heard the chairman of PTI and former Prime Minister Imran Khan, and he had said it earlier, that now the audio leak of the Vice President of PMLN, Mariam Nawaz, will be surfaced, and that's an audio leak that she is speaking to her father, that's another former Prime Minister, Nawaz Sharif. How does he even know about this audio leak? I mean, because there have been reports that it's all available on the dark web and it's available for money and all of that. But when politicians make such statements, then it raises questions that do they have those rogue elements that you were talking about actually on their side to embarrass the other side?
I have no doubts that the social media wings of the PMLN and the PTI, obviously they comprise of very well-educated and smart and well-trained IT professionals who are trained, who know how things have to be done. We see videos and audios which are being manufactured, which are being fabricated and then put up on the social media and by these people. So I have a feeling that some of these people in both the political parties, I'm talking about the IT experts, they're real good IT professionals. I think they have access to these audio leaks, and because they have access to not all, maybe some, whatever is the case, so their leadership is also aware what is likely to come next. So that does not mean that these social media groups or some people in them are in league with the hackers. Maybe everything is possible in this country, in Pakistan, it. But,
Okay.
But the fact is that it is because of this that they are talking about what is going to come next. For example, I'll give you an example. Now, just not about the audio, just the video. Mariam Nawaz Sahiba has stated in press conferences 2-3 times, in which she said, well, we have videos, we have audios of so many important high-profile people in Pakistan. Now, who made those videos? How were those? And she said they're preserved, they're never wasted. So I find that our political parties are also in this shady business. It is, I would call it illegal, shady, that whenever they meet important personalities, they make recordings, and they use those recordings to scare people, to scare these high-profile people with the threats that those audios and videos are going to be released. So,
Okay, so what would exactly happen in the West, Amir, if something of this sort had happened? Like, would you see any kind of removals on, in the top leadership, those who are actually responsible for the security of the Prime Minister office? Or do you think, no, this will never happen?
If you live by the sword, you will die by the sword. So if you actually want to live by the media or social media, you will die by the social media. Reason is, why we're looking as if maybe these hackers or maybe whoever has snooped, had malice or whatever, and maybe they were outsiders. They might be insiders, people who within these parties, who have been, snooping on their own leadership and then sharing it for gain. This is, I don't actually want to speculate here because we will actually have to wait till the agencies who have the power to look into it, investigate into this affair, and then come up. But I think this is a huge lesson for the politicians that if they actually want to strip each other in public, that is their choice. But the thing is, people will not forgive or forget, who has been playing a dirty game. So if you are accusing each other of, doing this thing or that thing, the other side will not stop because they have also, we can say that, they have a bar to which they can go and accept that, okay, fine, somebody is criticizing us. But then if you want to say that this kind of, material you have, they can use the similar material. And that will show that Pakistani politics is not getting mature. It is getting, boyish. And these are basically, I don't know, I don't want to use strong words for them, but they are not behaving the way they should actually behave in this thing. I think they should sit back and discuss that the Prime Minister's office has been breached. And not only this, that means if Imran's, tapes have come out, alleged tapes, because the government is claiming that they will going to take for forensic tests. They actually ask other people to take it for forensic tests. That means those tapes were when Imran was Prime Minister. That means the highest office in the government is up for sale. People are recording it. And now, if they say that it's on the dark web, somebody has recorded it here and put it on the dark web.
Absolutely. And this is a very important point that you have made, Ahmed. It's time for the political parties or the leadership of different political parties to sit down and worry and talk about that this highest office of Prime Minister is up for sale, because the recordings are not only of this government but also of the previous government. Last 2 minutes we have. Brigadier Sahab, I would like you to sum this up. And what do you expect is going to happen?
Nothing is going to happen in the sense no heads are going to roll. I don't think so. That's not the tradition in Pakistan. Even the glaring lapses of people at the top in their organization, their heads are not rolled.
I think, Nadia, what Brigadier Sahab is saying is that a weak government cannot take strong decisions. Pakistani politics has always been weak for a very long time. They talk very loud statements, but when it comes to action, I think they're shy because they know that is a place where angels dare to tread.
Right. Well, let's see what's going to happen. Certainly, the audio leaks are having an impact not only politically on different political governments, their leaderships, the working of the bureaucracy, the working of the Prime Minister House, but at the same time, it has a deeper impact about the office itself. How and about the security of the office and of such offices and the highest institutions in the country. Also, it will have a deeper impact internationally, as we do know that such offices welcome delegations from abroad, and those are important delegations. Bilateral relations are being, discussed in such meetings. So what is going to really happen? Will this continue? The recording, the bugging of the Prime Minister House, is there a trust deficit? All these answers only after the investigation. That's all that happens.